Welcome to the review of EVPeak E6, a new 4-channel single-cell Lipo charger with support for high-voltage batteries. This design is not a new idea, and there are already similar products on the market, namely two clones, SkyRC and Hi-Tech Quattro Micro. The main difference is that EVPeak supports high-voltage Lipos and doesn't have current level adjustment knobs, as it offers digital interface only. For those who may not know, being a 4-channel charger, this product allows to charge 4 different batteries at the same time, and each channel can have different current settings. As we can see, there is nothing unexpected inside the box, and we have the charger itself, a user manual in English and Chinese, mains power lead, and DC power connector with crocodile clips. This is a rather simple product, which should be really straightforward to use. That's why there's mainly safety and warning information in the manual. You know, things like the reminders not to put the charger in the dishwasher, etc. The charger is made of plastic, but the build quality is really good. Everything's properly put together. There are no gaps anywhere, no weird noises when putting some pressure. Well, one of the MCX ports is not aligned properly, if I want to be picky. But that's pretty much the only bad thing. The plastic is quite thick and has a nice matte finish. The charger has some weight to it, which always gives impression of quality. Let's have a closer look at the charger. Apart from the vents, there's a DC input on the right hand side. On the top there is a fan visible under the vent. On the left hand side there is an AC mains input. And there's nothing really interesting at the bottom, apart from a sticker with specification, certifications and some more warnings. On the front, we have 4 sections for each channel, and each section contains 4 battery inputs, an LED, and a switch selector to select between normal Lipos and high voltage Lipos. Underneath there's a simple 2-line display, and below that we have 4 buttons, first for channel selector, the other one for current decrease, current increase and start stop button, which is pretty much self-explanatory. Speaking of battery inputs, the charger supports batteries with following connectors. I'm not sure if you can see that. So the first one is the JST, which is normally used on larger builds. The second one is Molex, also known as Lossy Micro T or Micro Lossy. That's the second one here. And this is probably the most popular toy grade connector. The next one here, and this one, it's MCPX or JSTPH 2mm, also known as Mini JST. It's not as popular as Micro Lossy or JST, but this one has recently been used on Ishin E011 and BWOOP B03, for example. And the last but not least, we have JST 125mm, also known as MCX or Micro JST. This is the one here. And this is used on smaller products like Micro Helis or, for example, 6mm whoops. Just have a closer look. And this covers pretty much all the 1S connectors commonly used on the market at the moment. Compared to SkyRC Quattro, the reversed lossy micro connector is missing here, but instead we have a JST socket. This makes much more sense from my perspective. First of all, I have plenty of JST batteries as well, and also I changed all my reverse lossy connectors to normal ones. Didn't have that many of them anyway, but I always like to make sure that I have consistency on the bench. So I strongly recommend doing the same, as it is very easy to get this mixed up. When getting new batteries, I always make sure they have the same polarity before adding them to the family. Having this out of the way, let's have a quick look at basic operations and how to actually charge the batteries. When powered up, the charger displays 4 numbers corresponding to each channel. After plugging in a battery, we can immediately see the battery voltage. Let's hook up the rest of the batteries. To start charging, first we need to select the channel, which is done by pressing the channel button. A corresponding LED will start flashing, so we always know which channel is being adjusted. After that, we select the charging current from a range of 0.1 amps to 1 amp in 0.1 increments using increase and decrease button. As you can see, it goes from 1 back to 0.1, which is actually quite good. So if you want to go straight to 1 amp, you don't need to cycle through the whole range, just go straight there. So after that, after we select the current, say let's see 0.5, we press and hold start stop button until the charger beeps. After that, the corresponding LED changes to solid red. This one will display 0 amp for about 5 or 6 seconds, after which the charging starts. To interrupt the charging process, we just press start stop. When charging finishes, the LED goes green. The process is exactly the same for all 4 channels. Again, selecting the channels, using the channel button. To charge high voltage LiPos, the selector switch on the corresponding channel needs to be set to high voltage. I don't have any 1S high voltage cells available, but I can quickly show you it works using a normal battery and overcharging it a little bit. It's channel 4. I'm gonna interrupt the charging process in a few seconds, not to damage the battery, but I want to show you that it can comfortably go above 4.2 volts. One thing to note that this product can only charge the batteries, and there aren't any other options such as a discharge or storage. During the charging process, the charger displays 2 values. As you can see, it cycles through the current and the voltage. There is no additional information like time or total current put into a battery available. Similarly, when the charging ends, there are no details regarding finished charging process visible, just the final voltage. As we can see here, it went up to 425, so it has no problems charging to more than 420 volts. It's gonna stop at 435, but as I said, I'm not gonna go that far because I don't want to damage my battery. So let's just stop it here. EVPeak went for digital adjustments as opposed to the dials on the competing products. I believe using the knobs makes the operation a bit easier and quicker, as it offers direct access to the only parameter that can be changed. As we normally charge similar batteries at the same time anyway, it would be nice if EVPeak implemented a feature to set the same current on all 4 channels and start charging all of them instead of going from one channel to another. This is definitely something that would make the whole charging process a bit more user-friendly, as then it can be a bit annoying to go through the selection of the same things from the menu 4 times. One other thing I wanted to mention when comparing this product to the competition. Again, this shouldn't matter to most of users, but on this charger it's only possible to set the current in 0.1 increments, whereas the competition offers 0.01 increments. Does it really matter? Well, not for me. Personally, I think this is a bit overkill and we don't need to be so precise when charging batteries. But everyone's different though, so I thought I would cover this as well here. Let's quickly check the performance and see how accurate is the voltage compared to my multimeter, and also if the charger can match the specification, which means if it can provide 4 times 1 amp output. Okay, this one is 388. 389, which is close enough. And mind you, this is not professionally calibrated multimeter, so there can be some differences. Let's see this one is through 387, so it's close enough, but let's check different battery. 388. The last one is 4. 402. I think this is all within the measuring error, and it's definitely good enough for me. Now let's check the current. For this test I will be using a little bit of blue tag to attach the ammeter to the charger. Again, this product has not been calibrated, but it should give us a fairly good idea of what's going on inside the charger and see how much juice we're actually putting through the batteries. So let's start with a single channel and see what's going on here. Let's start with 0.5 amps. Okay, so we're having a reading of 520 milliamp versus 500 on the charger. No problems here. Okay, let me just go for 0.8 this time. Again, my ammeter shows 810 milliamp versus 800 on the charger. It's good enough. Okay, and finally the maximum one amp. As we can see, we have 900, almost just under 1 amp, 970 milliamps. It's not quite there, but again, it can be within the measuring error, and that's definitely good enough for me. So we can say the single channel performance definitely matches the specification. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in 4 batteries and set each channel to 1 amp and see if we can still get the same readings from my ammeter. As we can see, I just plugged in the second battery and we're still getting the same readings, so about 1 amp. Oh, it's going down. Okay, dropped, okay. That's not good. Let's go to plug in the third battery. Okay. And we can see that it's dropping. Is it dropping or not? It dropped a little bit further. Unfortunately, I don't have enough testing equipment to measure all 4 channels simultaneously, but I would imagine the current drops across all channels in a similar way. Now, I will unplug 3 batteries to see what happens when, again, just one is plugged in and whether this will go back to 1 amp. I don't see a reason why not, but let's just quickly test this. As we can see, a single channel performance is in line with the specification. Unfortunately, this is not the case when all 4 channels are set to 1 amp at the same time. This probably won't affect most of the potential users, with small batteries especially, but this has to be pointed out that this product clearly doesn't meet the specification. Also, this can be really limiting factor if someone wants to parallel charge their batteries using this charger. I mentioned the charging errors earlier, and you can still see that there's some of them on the screen, which is error number 5. There's a list of error codes in the manual, and all of them are explained there, so I won't copy the information here. There are 11 codes in total. It's also possible to power up the charger from a DC source in the range of 9 to 12 volts. I am not sure if this feature will be used a lot on this product, but it's definitely good there is such an option. This works as expected, and I didn't have any problems here, apart from this one when plugging in a fully charged 3S cell. Okay, as you can see, we're getting error 9 code, which is input voltage error. This is because a fully charged 3S battery has a voltage of about 12.6 volts. So it is above specification. However, after leaving the battery plugged in for a few moments, this will start working again. It is not the reason to complain really, as this is outside the specification. However, I think the input voltage range could be a bit wider and at least go up to 13 volts. Also, it would be nice if maybe 4S battery could be used here. And as you can see, it's all working fine, and that was literally maybe a minute, probably not even that. So yeah, I would imagine that the cutoff voltage must be around 12.5 volts. Right, I think I have covered everything I wanted in this review, so now let's have a few final words. After using this charger for a few days, I have slightly mixed feelings about this, to be honest. Generally, I quite enjoyed using it, even though it's not as easy as pleasant to use as my ISDT charger. I know I am a little bit spoiled here, and they are in completely different league, so it's not a fair comparison. Again, it is a nice product, but it feels a little bit unpolished, to be honest. For majority of users, the negative, as I mentioned in the review, most likely won't matter. However, changing the firmware a little bit to allow group settings and show some additional information regarding the charging process, mainly total amount of amp hours put into a battery, would make this charger more complete and easier to recommend. And let's not forget about the maximum power output not meeting the specification. It is always recommended to get a normal Lipo charger to have a proper control over charging process rather than use cheap USB products that give no control whatsoever. It doesn't mean you have to choose EV Peak. The competition offers very similar products for similar money with a different user interface that could be preferable or not, but this is personal choice. However, what the competition doesn't offer is support for high voltage batteries. So this E6 is definitely a more versatile product. Question remains whether it is better to get something like this or spend more money and buy a bigger charger that supports multi-cell batteries. This is something I cannot answer for you. I can only say that I had to make a similar choice a few years ago and decided to go for a bigger charger as it made more sense to me. But if you want a simple to use product that will allow you to properly charge and look after your batteries, and don't plan on moving to the bigger aircrafts in the near future, this may be just a ticket. All in all, if you're aware of the shortcomings of this charger, and I hope I mentioned most of them here, if not all of them, and if you know that they don't affect you, I'm sure this can be a decent buy. Hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching.